Good evening, everyone. My name is Dwayne Kimball, United States Army veteran and retired VA rating specialist. Welcome back. I am joined again by Dave Piatek, VA housing education subject matter expert, guru, house
Thank you, sir.
technician, all those accolades behind your signature, your signature block. How you doing, David?
Good, man. Just another beautiful day. Excited for the holidays, and wanted to jump on a call because there's some people can give themselves an easy Christmas present by saving money.
Right. So before we get into that, David, because I'll get messages.
Uh huh.
How do I get a hold of David? How do I get a hold of David? I know it's coming. So unless if you could give them some information ahead of time. So if they're not watching now, they will be watching.
Yes.
If they're looking to refinance, purchase a home, anything that we're going to be talking about VA home loan related today, talk to David. When you leave a comment on my YouTube channel, yes, I put his calendar link in there. He's the subject matter expert on the VA housing. Okay. I'm not. I know a little bit, may know just a little enough, but I'm calling Dave before I make any moves. So, Dave, go ahead and give him your
I
contact
appreciate
information.
that.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we dropped a application link in the description below, along with setting up a calendar invite. So just something important to know. I think for a lot of people, because we've had this question asked, is that I'm a licensed loan officer across all 50 states. So no matter where you are in the country, even if you're overseas, I can communicate on WhatsApp or Signal, because the opportunities are there, right? And we have veterans across the world right now. So yeah, we could definitely help with that. But again, the application link and the scheduling is in the description, so check it out, and definitely reach out, and we're happy to help.
Dave, I know you got some good news.
Yes.
But when you said overseas, I just thought of something, and I know you've answered this before, but I can't remember the answer, so I'm going to ask it again. Let's just say I wanted to purchase a home in Puerto Vallarta, Mexico. There's no way I could use my VA home loan, correct?
You know what? I believe that it is part of the territories. And if it's part of the territories of the
Oh,
United States, you can use it for that. So, so yeah, you just have to find a lender that'll do it. They still have appraisers out there. So,
okay, man. I see. Look, there you go. Something I didn't know. All right. So, Dave, I'm going to let you take it over, and I want you to talk about this big surprise. Um, Charlton says lenders must be VA approved. I just read that in the comments.
yes, yes. So that's why a lender has to be. So in order for a lender to do a VA home loan, right, they have to be approved by the VA to do it, and we are. So we do them across the country. So, but yeah, let me share what we kind of put this live event around is that interest rates have dropped significantly. So right now, there's about 230,571 veterans that can qualify for what's called an interest rate reduction refinance loan. We'll call it an EARL for short. And basically, on average, there's a savings of about $354.17. Where am I getting these numbers? I get them straight from the VA's website because they publish them on a monthly basis on how many veterans are purchasing homes. I mean, it's over. I mean, at most months, it's between 25,000 to 39,000 people you leveraging the VA home loan. So it's pretty crazy. And they can utilize this EARL, the interest rate reduction refinance loan. The beauty of it is if you already, and this is for veterans that already own their property, and some of the key metrics to be able to qualify, because a lot of people closed recently at higher interest rates. But the thing is that you have to make at least 6 mortgage payments, and it has to be 210 days from the time that you made your first payment in order to close on the loan. So basically, it's about 7 months from the time you made your first payment. You want to start about 30 to 45 days before that, as far as the mortgage process itself. The thing is that some of the questions that we get is, how much does it cost? Which kind, it varies across the country, right? Every state's going to be different. It could be anywhere from as little as $500 to $1,000, or it could be 10,000 or more. It just really depends on what the state fees are, which typically, like, let's say in Florida, you have to pay transfer taxes every time you refinance, right? So you got to kind of keep that in mind when you go through this. And that's one of the things that we're a big advocate for, is helping people determine if this even makes sense or it doesn't. Because if you're only saving $50 a month, that, and you're paying 10,000 in fees, that doesn't make sense at all to do, right? But there's a lot of veterans that we just got calls the other day that are saving $500 to $700 a month, and closing costs are about $2,000. Well, that is a no-brainer, right? It makes sense to do that. And this really applies to people that purchased in the last year and a half, 2 years or so. And for people that are thinking about refinancing a home, and they want to pull cash out of it, right? That's a separate type of loan product. But because rates have dropped, it's now an option, just because home equity lines of credit are pretty high in interest rates. So those are just things to consider. And one of the biggest bonus items that a lot of veterans don't know is that you can do these refis even on a investment property or a second home that has a VA home loan on it, and utilize the low interest rates, which is mind-blowing because no other loan product offers something like that.
So what is the current rate, David? Is what 2.25?
I wish it was 2.25. I don't think I'd be on the phone calls right now if that's what it was. But rates depending, right? And so just kind of, this is for educational purposes only, because everyone's situation is different. Everyone's financial picture is different. But they can range anywhere from about 5.25% to about 6%, really depending on where you're at on loan size wise and credit score. The beauty of these interest rate reduction refinance loans is that the paperwork is very minimal. So even if you collect a 10% VA disability and you don't work, but you have 10%, that's enough to qualify for an IRL. You just need a source of income to qualify.
Wow.
Yeah.
So
No appraisal, no blood sample, nothing.
100% permanent total,
You could
summary
be 10.
letter.
Yeah.
Well, you just can't go out and get that $500,000 home for 10%.
Well, to buy a home, no, you would have to use all your income, right?
Right.
But in order to do the IRL, all you need to verify is a source of income. So if you just have, let's say you're working and you have a 10% disability rating, the lender could just use the 10% disability as your source of income and nothing else, and you still qualify for the lower rates.
So you said a word IRL. Can you explain that?
No, the
What an
IRL is
IRL?
the interest rate reduction refinance loan.
Okay.
So yeah, I shorten it up just because to say it every time, it's like it takes up a lot. But yeah, so basically it's just short for not your cousin Earl, but IRL is just the interest rate reduction refinance loan.
Okay. Well, Dave, we got some questions popped in here,
Oh yeah.
but I'm gonna pop one up here right quick, and this is not a question. And I want everyone to, um, just we want to recognize, Mr. Zimmerman, and just give him our heartfelt, you know, just let him know that we're sorry, um, and we don't know what happened. But boy, Army so beating Navy. Army so beating Navy, Mr. Zimmerman. I hate to give it to you. I hate to say it like that, Mr. Zimmerman, but our hearts go, no, we can't say they go out to you, okay? But Mr. Zimmerman, there's always hope for next year. But you didn't do it this year. I don't even think they did it last year, did they?
I don't even remember.
All right, go Army. Okay, Mr. Zimmerman. I just had to mess with you when you said that. Okay. All right. Okay, so here's a question, David. Is it possible to get a VA loan with bad credit? And I want to add to that question. What have you seen most lenders consider like just a bad credit score?
So that's a good question. So typically, a lot of lenders won't do loans under 640 credit score. Now, there's a couple of caveats, like anything. We can spend 2 hours just talking about like how the credit makeup works, just because there's so many situations and it kind of varies. So I'm going to explain it. So a lot of lenders are looking for that 640 or higher credit score to qualify. If you're purchasing a property, the VA technically, well, it doesn't have a minimum credit score, but if you think about it, lenders are going to have some type of requirement for that. So, like with us, we can technically go down to 500 credit score. Now, there's a couple things to consider when you're looking at really anything under 620 credit score.
Wait a minute, Dave. Wait a minute.
Yeah.
You said we.
Did I
So when
say
you
we?
say we, yeah, you said we can go down to
Well,
500.
oh, so like where I work.
So where do you work?
Oh, so Allied First Bank. So good.
There you go. There you go. All right.
Thank
'Cause
you.
we,
Thank you. So where I work, we're able to do that, but a lot of institutions aren't able to do that just because if you go to the some like the bigger banks, they don't have the ability to find institutions that will lend on that. Now, there's a couple things you got to think about, right, when it comes to uh, credit score. So really anything under 620 takes a pretty big hit as far as interest rates. So their interest rates are going to be a little bit higher because naturally it's a higher risk to be able to lend on that. Okay. And another big component to that is that a lot of these are what's called a manual underwrite, where an underwriter actually physically looks at it. And the VA has put parameters around people qualifying for these. So typically, if somebody has under a 620 credit score, there's going to be two things they're going to be looked at by the lender that normally wouldn't be. First, they're going to verify 12 months of rental income. So you have to provide, a landlord has to verify you've made all your on time payments, and you can't have any derogatory credit in the last 12 months. So a lot of times, people that have an under 620 credit score have kind of multiple lates in the last 12 years, in the last 12 months. So there are things to consider. Like anything, with time and or money, it could fix all your problems, right? Because if you wait 2 years and not have any bad credit, or you keep your all your payments on time, your credit will start to fix itself. And after 7 years, all that negative credit is gone because it has it has like a limit of 7 years, and after 7 years, it falls off. The biggest challenge is people fall into relapse, right? They will miss some payments. They forgot they had I mean, it'll be as crazy as like a $25 dentist collection. And all of a sudden you're back at square one. So those are, and so, in January, I'm doing a whole series on credit and budgeting and how to prepare yourself for 2024 and beyond, because taking control of your finances is the first thing that you have to do when you talk about home ownership. And credit is something that can be fixed, right? I think a lot of people go to some of these places or think like, oh, they're going to erase everything off my credit. It's going to be great. And $5,000 later of paying somebody to do that, guess what? Nothing's really changed. So there's no quick fixes in all this unless it's something that's legit, right? There's sometimes people have they made on-time payments. The creditors report them late. That's easy to fix, right? If you have documentation, we can submit that to the credit bureaus, and we can actually manually update your credit score in 7 business days.
So just to add on to that question, David, what is the maximum credit score where no matter what it is at that point, you're going to get the best rate? Like 740, 760?
Between 720 and 740. Some of the investors on the back end have different requirements, but typically 720 or higher, you're getting the best rate possible.
Okay. So if you're up in like 810, 820, it doesn't matter at that point, right?
No, congratulations, but it won't make a difference. It's great from a credit perspective, but from the VA home loan perspective, it's pretty much it's flat once you go up to that. Now, when you go underneath that, it definitely changes in about 20-point increments it gets worse, right? So 700 to 720, a little bit lower rates, 780 to 700, a little bit lower. And so it just kind of are higher rates as you go down because the risk category goes up. And for a lot of people that are in that 620 to 720 range, that's not bad. To be honest, most of the time, what we see when folks within those score ranges, they're going to be overutilizing debt, right? Because you really want to be at that 20 to 30% debt utilization, meaning, let's say you have a $10,000 credit card and you have a $2,000 balance. Okay, that's not bad. But when you go over that 2,000, your credit starts to hurt. And once you go up to the top, man, that it really takes a dive. So sometimes we'll see people that should have perfect 800 credit score, but because of debt, their credit score is lower. So you gotta
Wow.
kind of factor that in.
Okay. Good answer. Let's keep it moving. Next question. What does the VA entitlement allow the vet to purchase? Single family, duplex, apartment building, et cetera, et cetera.
Man, we got some good questions today. All right. So when it comes to entitlement, there's two sets of rules. If you don't have an outstanding VA home loan, there is no limit on what you are eligible for. So you want to buy a $5 million 4-unit building? You can do that with zero money down. Now, the caveat to that is you also have to be qualified, right? There's always two parts to a VA home loan. It's eligibility. Do you meet the time and character of service and the character of discharge to be able to get a VA home loan? And then it's do you qualify, right? So depending on credit, income, assets, that's also going to be a factor into this. And I just came to me. I want to cover one thing. There's some veterans out there, when we talked about credit, there's some veterans out there that don't have any credit. So what do you do when there is no credit score? And we come across this once in a while. Well, a lender will use a 680 credit score as the benchmark for qualifying somebody with no credit at all, right? You pull the credit report, it just comes back blank across all three credit bureaus. That's what they're going to use. So just kind of want to just touch on that because a lot of veterans, or there's some veterans, should I say, that fall into that. So kind of back to the entitlement piece. So if you have your full entitlement, which is $36,000, you don't have an outstanding VA loan, or you're going to have an outstanding VA home loan when you close on a new place, right? So you're selling a place, it's under contract, you're pre-qualified as if you didn't have a VA home loan, which is typically what is done. And then you sell and buy the same day and you have your full entitlement that day and you just close. Okay. So no limit as long as you're eligible and qualified. Now, that is across the board for single family homes. If you want to buy a condo, an attached single family home, a planned unit development, you want to buy a 2, 3, or 4 unit property. We talked about condos. Just a side note, condos are extremely easy to buy with a VA home loan. I see a lot of people on YouTube, social media saying that it's extremely hard and a lot of buildings don't qualify to a certain degree. It's true. But the thing is, you could do a waiver and literally buy any condo that you want, which also kind of ties into this. A lot of people were forced to use FHA or conventional loans to buy condos. You can refinance into a VA loan, take advantage of the low rates, and we can get the building VA approved, no cost to you. So you don't have to pay for any of that. You can also buy a farm residence for all the people out there that want to be able to do that. You can also do a construction loan with a VA home loan. That includes land acquisition and the build of the home. Now, next month, I'm going to be doing a special with somebody that specializes in construction loans, just because we don't do them, but I have the people that can do them. So again, if you guys have questions, schedule a call and I'll introduce you to the right people to make that happen. And you can also buy a double wide property as long as it's fixed to the property, making it real property. You can't buy a RV. I get that question all the time. I wish that was the case because I would have bought one a while ago. And I think down in Florida, they got a lot of RV parks and stuff like that, which is awesome, but you definitely can't utilize that for the VA home loan. And one other caveat to the duplex, technically you can buy a 4-unit with a commercial space, but you can't use commercial space income.
Now, Dave, you mentioned, so let's just say I know a veteran that is looking to purchase some land and
Okay.
build a home on it. So I missed what you just said. I know you said something about you could VA home loan, getting land and building on it.
Yes.
Can you go
Yeah.
back to that again?
Yeah, and actually, let me clarify something. So you can you could do a land acquisition and a construction loan at the same time. You can't do it separate because some people are like, "Well, I'm going to buy the land and then I'm going to build a home later." That's not what the VA home loan would be used for. You'd be doing it at the same time, right? And that is a very complex subject because there's a lot of things we would have to go through around that. But
Uh-huh.
just know if you want to buy land and do the construction in one shot, you can do that across the United States today
Okay.
with 100% financing. The qualification standards on those are higher, right? Typically are 680 or higher credit scores.
Mhm.
So kind of keep that in mind. And you do have to pay interest while you're building the home. Sometimes lenders will let you roll in those interest costs into the build because some areas, they don't have a lot of new construction. So people, kind of have different, they don't really have too many options. And if you want to just buy the land, that's typically going to be a just a regular land loan. You would go to your local bank and get typically 25% down payment. It's a super easy process. If you're buying over 5 acres, it's even easier because it's called an agricultural loan. I
Mhm.
did something like that. I bought 18 acres and I did an agricultural loan on it. It was super simple to do. So just kind of keep that in mind with construction components. And
Okay.
you do have a lot of upfront costs because you have to get an architect, building plans, all of that ahead of time. So you might have a substantial upfront cost without having a finalized plan, let's say, right, to buy the
Right.
land and everything else.
I got somebody I want you to talk to about that, but we'll talk about that offline.
All right, cool.
All right, cool. Let's see what we got. Oh, new 100% permanent total took me 2 years exactly.
Congratulations.
Congrats, congrats. I know that's a long time coming, so definitely congratulations, man. That 2 years probably felt like more like 6 or 7. So, Miss Baker, hello, Dave and Dwayne. I want to keep my current home as an investment. I want to purchase a home in Colorado. Will there be a problem? I am about to retire. Who? That's what I'm talking about.
Well, congratulations on that. So
Yeah.
the short answer is yes, but followed by a longer answer. So, as usual. All right. So, there's a couple of things with this, right? You buy a home as your primary residence, and it could turn into an investment property. That's not a problem. The challenge that can come up is that you have so much entitlement that you can use before you have to do a down payment. So, let me explain that. And also, before I do that, I just want to touch on if you're retiring and you're moving to Colorado, you can use your retirement income right away, your disability income right away. And if that's not enough to qualify for the home, you would also have to have an executed job offer in order to use that income plus your retirement and disability income. And it would have to be in Colorado because some veterans get crafty and they're like, well, I'm in, let's say I'm in Fort Belvoir, but I want to buy in Colorado, but I don't have any orders there. I don't have a job lined up there. Then it's just not going to work, right? It has to make sense in that perspective. So, right now the county limits for the country is 726,300, but they're going up next year. Let me take a look at what that's going to be, because that way you guys will get updated loan limits for that. So it's going up from up to 766,550 is going to be the max entitlement technically in across the country, minus what's called the high balance area. So if you're like California, DC, Maryland, Virginia, New York, they actually have a higher cap. That's why when you switch in between those, the numbers change, but that's something you guys got to schedule a call with to go over because we'll spend an hour just explaining that piece alone. Now, anything, so let's just say, for example, let's use the 766,550. I'll make the numbers easy. So let's say you bought a place for $266,550. You have $500,000 left in entitlement. So if you found a place for $500,000, you can buy it with no down payment to 100% VA home loans. Some veterans, actually, I got a guy right now. What he's doing is every time he PCSs, he's going to try to buy 4 homes within that 766,550. So every duty station, he's going to buy a property and then rent it out. Buy it, rent it, buy it, rent it. And when guess what? When rates drop, he could just do an interest rate reduction refinance loan, the Earl, on all of those and get that low interest rate on them with no penalties. And it's super easy. So those are just kind of things to keep in mind. Anything over that 500,000 in our example would require a 25% down payment for the difference. So if you bought a $600,000 place, it's 100,000 over what you have. So you do a 25% down payment on the 100,000. The reason why it's 25% is because the VA guarantees 25% of the mortgage, right? So on that 500,000, they're guaranteeing 25% of that 500. So when you have the additional 100,000, you have to put a down payment of that $25,000 so the whole mortgage can be guaranteed by the VA home loan. That's how it works.
Okay, cool.
I know
cool.
it's a lot of info, but yeah, nothing's easy.
That's why I said call. And I've been putting David's calendar link to schedule a call with him in the comment section. So it's in there 4 different times, early enough in the live stream tonight. So George says Dwayne got the book in the mail the other day. The information is what all vets need to know. Here it is. My book, VA Claim Success. Now there's another book out there on Amazon, VA Claim Success. But if it doesn't look like this, it's not the right one. This is the one you want. Okay. Thank you, George, for the support. I know it's a game changer. Been getting a lot of good feedback on the book. Again, I wanted to write something that veterans can take and actually use, can execute. You know, we know the majority of veterans know, okay, I'm entitled to this, I'm entitled to that. But what's out there showing you how to get this compensation? Okay. And then, you know, if you feel you should be 100%, you want to buy a home, the next phone call is to who? David. All right.
At your service.
Yep. Okay. All right. Move right along. Here's the next question. Can I get a loan to pay off my credit cards as a low rate? I'm assuming like a refi cash out.
So there's a couple, so there's a couple things that go behind that when we look at those types of situations, and we always want to make it advantageous for you, the veteran, right? We're also both veterans, but the thing is that sometimes it makes sense to do a cash out refinance. Now, the VA home loan is the only loan program in the country that lets you do a cash out to 100% of the value of your property, which is crazy. So let's say you have we just did this with somebody. Dwayne, one of your followers reached out to us, and we were able to help them out be able to cash out $250,000 out of their house. They had enough equity in their property. They wanted the money to purchase another property cash. Because you know, we can do a whole section on how to leverage the VA home loan as an investment vehicle. Because if you try to go get a investment loan, 25% down payment for a conventional loan, 2, the rates are crazy. And the fees are going to be high. So it's better to leverage the equity in your current property, purchase another property, and be able to buy that in cash. So now you own the note on that. You're right. You're depreciating the property and doing a bunch of stuff with it. So yeah. So there's a lot of ways you can do it. So sometimes it makes sense, depending on your credit, just to get an interest-free credit card. There's a bunch of them out there. I'm helping a lot of people out with that, right? Wells Fargo has one. I think Citibank has one. There's a couple of them where you can get a low 0% interest rate for 21 months. And then basically you can consolidate your debt. Yep. The other option might be to do a cash out refinance, pull equity out of your property, take advantage of the lower rates, and pay off all your debt completely. So you just have a fresh start. And typically what we see that the payment for the mortgage is going to be less than what you're currently paying. but you don't get in the habit of then repaying all your, or not
Charging
repaying.
back,
Yeah, yeah,
charging back.
charging your cards back,
Yeah.
right? So you gotta start with the root cause of what's going on. Now, some people just have life events happen, right? If someone passes away, or something happens, okay, we get that. But again, we're gonna look at what's the most cost effective way. And like I said, even when you talk to us and I look at it and I'm gonna be like, you know what? It's not worth working with me. Here's another option that's cheaper. We'll always do that, because at the end of the day, you're going to come back on here and write, like, what did David do? We
Yeah.
don't want any of that, right? We'll spend the time, we'll go through it, and then we'll just kind of identify, how is this going to impact you, for both the short term and the long term. And you kind of, we'll lay out those options and you figure out what you want to do.
Yeah, yeah. So definitely, again, I put David's contact information in the comment section. Make sure if you have questions, you want to move forward, don't leave a comment on this video asking that question. Contact David, because that's what I'm going to do when I reply to that comment. Here's his contact information.
Right. And the thing is that if people want to check out some of the other stuff that I talk about, they can check out the YouTube channel VA Housing Education. And then that way you guys can kind of see some of the other content we're talking about. For 2024, we're going to be doing a lot of stuff around theming out budgeting, credit, PCSing. We're going to talk about home improvement, right? What should you be doing to a home to increase value? Things that you just normally don't even see people talk about. We're going to incorporate, because we want to kind of open it up for what you should be really thinking about when you're buying a home, or you're thinking about selling, for the folks that are out there that have VA home loans.
Wow, good information. Let's put up another question. From start to finish, how long does it take to get a VA home loan process normally? I would say, add on to that question with you. I mean, because I don't think you would know if somebody was doing something in Seattle, Washington, how long it would take them, but how long would it take you, David?
Well, I just bought a place and it took me 8 business days.
Woo.
But that's me doing it, right? That's because that's me doing it because I know what's required. That's kind of the thing, right? So for no, and plus it's all about, in certain markets you have to close that fast. I'm not in 8 business days, like that's unheard of. But typically it's about 21 days from start to finish, on a normal, let's say, single family home. If it's going to be, let's say, a multi-unit property, these are like external challenges. So like, let's say they have to access a unit, right? And the tenant is not letting them in. Well, that's going to delay the appraisal. Let's say we're doing a condo, the condo's not VA approved. Now we're talking about a 30-day close in order to get the condo denied, approved, get the waiver submitted. That's not rocket science. Like, we can do that quick, to be able to do that. But it should be a pretty quick process. I know one of the differences, like when working with myself and my team, is that we were like your QRF, right? Quick response force. Like, you're just working with us, not a call center, right? We don't have a bunch of inexperienced people saying like, "Oh, I got my license. Now, what do I do?" Because we help a lot of veterans from doing events like this. Or I teach real estate across the country. I teach the military relocation professional certification from the National Association of Realtors. So I have a lot of people calling me on a daily basis of challenges that are coming up with their VA home loans, like a week before closing. People are getting denied, and I'm like, that's insane. So yeah, which kind of leads me into, you should definitely get a good pre-approval if you're buying a home. And what I mean by that is that if you just talk to somebody and they give you a pre-approval without verifying all your documents, that is a no-go. You want them to request your certificate of eligibility. If they're asking you, like one of the people said earlier, the lender should be VA approved. Yeah, they could be VA approved, but it depends on your experience, right? We do hundreds of VA loans a year. If you do 1 or 2 or 3 a year, there's so many nuances that go with that loan and the process and what to expect and how to overcome challenges just within that, right? I'll tell you one thing with this, one big thing that I hear from realtors all the time about VA home loans and this specific question. Is the number one concern for the real estate communities that you can't buy a property as is, because if there's any repairs needed, the sellers have to pay for it, making the VA home loan uh, a challenge, you can say. Well, the thing is that last year the VA came out publicly. Now we've been doing this for years because they allowed it, but the VA finally came out publicly last year, or maybe earlier this year, and said that veterans have the ability to escrow any repair items the VA requires on their own and be able to buy a property and do those repairs after they close. So veterans, I mean, I can't, man, it's heartbreaking to hear, or like when I talk to veterans, they're like, oh, I couldn't buy this home because they had like $2,000 worth of repairs. The sellers didn't want to do it, but we had the money to do it and the VA doesn't allow it. And I'm like, that is not true. The VA allows this stuff. It's that a lot of veterans are just not educated around what you can and can't do. And just like you with VA disability, that's public information for the most part. Same thing with the VA home loan. You want to go to the VA Regional Loan Center, download the 616-page VA handbook. Good luck. But there's just so much that goes behind it, and everyone's situation's different. You just have to talk to somebody that's experienced, that can walk you through a complicated situation. Remember, any type of challenge is an opportunity to become a homeowner. It's just at what point it's going to happen, right? We're also going to be doing a lot of employment stuff, because one thing for a lot of veterans is, how do I get better employment? How do I make more money? So we're going to be incorporating a whole series on that as well, to just raise everybody.
Yeah. One thing that I've been doing and taking advantage of, and I actually did it this morning, I started, I'm on my third YouTube channel to earn passive income. There's a lot of young people on YouTube giving good information on little things that you could be doing that don't take a lot of time, don't take um, a large amount of money. It's nothing to start a YouTube channel. Obviously, you may need a camera, but if you're doing, and these are faceless YouTube channels, so you don't know who's putting them together. And people are earning anywhere between 5 to 25, upwards to like $30,000-$50,000 a month. And they're not working 8 hours. I just started another one this morning, uploaded a video, and as soon as we get off here, I got to go and make some changes and stuff like that. But it's all passive income. There are organizations out there, and I went through one 2 years ago when I started my business. It was open to veterans, their spouses, or family members, and they took you through, how to put together a feasibility plan, how to calculate profit margins, how to do certain things in business, talking about contracts, what type of insurance you need. Obviously, if you're taking credit card payments online, not only are you going to need business insurance, you're going to need cyber insurance.
Yeah.
So it's little things like that. So when you talked about, helping veterans, level up, so to speak, and just earn different income, and one thing I tell people about YouTube is it's free marketing. You got a product, free marketing. I talk about my book all the time, so it's a win-win, right? But let's say you got a channel and you're selling t-shirts. Oh, by the way, we got merch, we got hats, and you sell them there and you create a Shopify account. It's just so much stuff that you can do. Now, if somebody does that, David, and this is one of my questions, and they say, hey, for example, they say I'm 100%, 90% or whatever, and I retired, got a retirement check. Can they count that passive income that they earn from YouTube when they go to purchase a home?
So I helped a pretty big YouTuber.
Oh, you helped Mr. Beast?
Not Mr. Beast.
Okay.
One day maybe, but he's not a veteran. He's not a veteran. Maybe one day he'll call me, be like, you know what? Let me reach out to this guy. But no, I helped a pretty big YouTuber 2 years ago, And yes, you can use all of that income. Now, that's the short answer. Now, let me give the longer one. I'm sure you guys are used to it by now. Like, yes, no, and this is why. All right. So when it comes to using self-employment income, it's like using gig income, right? Like, hey, I drive for Uber on the side. It's the same thing here. You need a 2-year history of receiving that income in order to use it. And if it declines, you have to explain it. And if it goes up, we normally don't use the higher income. We kind of blend it out over 24 months. So you could definitely use that income. So if you're making an extra 5 grand, 10 grand, whatever it is a month on your channel, number one, make sure you get a good accountant. Two, track all your expenses. And
Man,
then just have that for the next 2 years, reportable on your taxes. One thing that I will note with what this question kind of goes around is that a lot of self-employed people are crafty. Okay,
hmm,
they don't want to pay taxes. I can't blame them. And if you made 200,000 this year, right, and you expensed 150,000 of that income, guess how much money you made? 50,000 taxable income. And guess what's going to be used for your application? The 50,000. So
mhm.
we do a lot of consults over November, December, and January and February with self-employed people that are wanting to be homeowners. I got a lot of my boys are uh, self-employed, and they'll come to me. We'll work out a plan so they'll pay taxes over the 2-year period or whatever the case may be, so we could set them up for success for when they do finally purchase a home. Now, with all that being said, there is one exception, and so you can go from being W-2 to self-employed and only require 1 year of taxes. It's very rare. I've only come across it once in my life where someone actually made more money being self-employed in their first year than their W-2 job. But it
Mm.
was government to government, right? They did government. They were a government employee, and then they started their own consulting company, made 5 times more money. It was kind of insane. But they were very specialized in what they did. And so then we were able to use that income. But typically it's going to be 2 years.
FYI, that was not me. That was not me. Okay. Even if I did make 5 times more than I was making in the V, I'd still be in the poorhouse.
Florida's that expensive?
Oh man, no, the federal government don't pay. It's more so federal government. You get the days off, the holidays. I never looked at trying to get up to the exec level GS. They make pretty good money, but I'm like at my age, I'm like I'm not trying to do all that.
No,
All
man,
right,
it's much better.
Jamaica. We're gonna get through these questions. We got about a little bit over 15 minutes. The rating schedule for 100% PNT got changed. The new diagnosis for my disability is 30% temporary. Will they come back and try to reduce me under the new schedule rating? I'm 8 years at home. One thing, good question. The VA doesn't go back and look at everybody's claim. When the diagnostic code criteria changed, let's just say they did a proposal a year and a half ago to combine tinnitus with hearing loss. So you're no longer going to get 10%. They're not going to go back to every veteran's claim that is 10% for tinnitus and take a look and remove it. That's not the way it works. Now, if you come back in, there's other stipulations, okay? And you could fall under that new criteria, okay? So, like Dave was saying about some things, hey, that's a whole nother conversation because that's another 30-minute conversation. So I won't dive into that. But if you have to, just know what you're doing before you do it.
Is that, Dwayne, is that like if you're going back for a new sketch, like to read to get something increased, or like if you have 100% PNT, they can
Well,
reduce it?
she's saying that I don't know if it's a she, but they're saying that their 100% permanent total got changed. I don't quite understand that, so I'm assuming that the condition they have, they're rated higher than the 30%, but they threw temporary in there, so that's a little
No,
bit confusing.
gotcha.
Um, so normally, what you'll see, a veteran could be 50%, but that 50% is no longer on under that diagnostic code criteria. It's now
Oh,
the 30%. So that's what I'm assuming that they're asking. So therefore,
gotcha.
more, because now I got 2 or 3 questions. If people think I be kidding when I'm like, when they ask me something and they say, they just ask me a question, they say, "Oh, this is an easy question." When it comes to VA, what is the easiest question that you've been asked about the VA? What VA stands for, Veterans Affairs. That's simple. It's an easy question.
Well, that's like me. Same thing. It's like you ask a question, like, yeah, but then let's go through all the details of
Right,
what it
right.
is. Yeah. So it's like
So,
that. Yeah.
right, so when I look at the rating schedule, which is the diagnostic code that you're
Yeah.
selected for, how long was that percentage you've been assigned, then go look up the new information. So it turns into like a 30-minute conversation, you know.
Oh, yeah.
And then as soon as you answer that, they're, 9 times out of 10, the veteran say, "Hey, I got another quick question. And you said that this was a quick. So we were on the phone 30 minutes. So you got another quick question. That's going to be another 30 minutes more than likely. So it's just, I get those hypotheticals. I stay away from those questions because hypotheticals and VA ratings do not mix
Well, it's like VA loans.
like water and oil.
Yeah. So we answered this one earlier
Yeah,
with the
wait.
credit cards. Yeah.
Okay. All right. After 27 years, finally got 27 years. Whoa, that stopped me dead in my tracks. Had to buy it myself. VSO in Allentown gave a copy of the D214 and personal info to. Whoa. Okay. Um. Hmm. Don't understand the question there. So, Empower. If you can come back and give a little bit more insight, if that happens, definitely sorry to hear that. Um. Don't know. Again, this is a little bit more detail when you say you're in a wheelchair, the conditions that put you in a wheelchair, where do they fall under the 5 ways of service connection? Let's see, he did that. Been homeless for the last 5 years until I dragged my hubby to Colorado, finally bought a home. We'll have to refinance when rates go down next year.
That's
If you're still, I see the next question says still working on getting 100%. Keep in mind, there is a M21 manual reference in 38 CFR. If you are homeless, they do consider that a priority claim, but you have to prove that you're homeless. You just can't say, "Hey, I'm homeless." And they move you to the front of the line. You have to prove that. And I've actually rated some of those cases, adjudicated some of those cases for veterans. But Dave, going back to this question, they said finally bought a home with VA loan. Will refinance when the rates go down next year. I know you touched on that earlier about when is the best time, the right time, and does it make sense? I think that's what it was. Does it make sense? So, does it make sense to wait or now or
So it depends, right? So for a lot of people, you have to wait the 6 months of mortgage payments in 210 days. So there's a large category. So that's why when I gave my numbers, I went from last October till June, because that way you can close in February, right? So you'd start the process now. So if you closed anytime before June of 23 and your rates are higher than 6.5, okay, now it's time to look at refinancing, right? Or at least explore that option. The challenge for some is that the Fed has come out and said that they're going to drop rates 3 more times this year. But
Mm.
like people out there, I really don't trust the government on this, right? Things can change in a heartbeat. So the challenge is like you wait too long, and then you're not gonna be able to do it because it's gonna change. You do it now, but rates go even lower. But the beauty of the interest rate with the Earl is that you can refinance unlimited times, but you have to wait 7 months in between all of that. That's the only thing that you have to be aware of. Okay,
Mm.
that's a big one.
So is that why
But
you said June 2023?
yeah, because that way you can already. So if you bought in June of 23, you can already close in February. So then, if you close in February, then you're gonna have to do it in November of next year. So with those, and then a lot of and also keep this in mind in perspective, should I say? A lot of people that refinanced in 2020 with an Earl also did it in 21 because rates dropped even lower, right? They were at like in the 5.5, 6s. They dropped to 3.5%. Everybody refinanced, and then rates dropped to 2.25%, and everyone refinanced again. So the thing is like you shouldn't really, worry about it, because if you miss out on saving money, you've missed out on it, right? Anything can change globally that could affect what we're doing, but we are going to be in an election year, so they're gonna try to. I'm assuming they're gonna try to drive it down as much as possible.
Okay. I'm gonna move ahead. We got about 10 minutes, Dave, so we're gonna do
Yeah,
some speed
I can knock
rounds
these
here.
out.
But I saw something that you talked about. I'm gonna let you put it up there.
Oh man, Veterans United.
I heard you say that before, and it jumped out at me. I was like,
Oh my
"Uh-oh."
God, no, man, no. Listen, if you want to overpay, go ahead. They're very expensive company to work with. They got awesome marketing, but every time I look at their loan estimates or closing disclosures, I'll be honest, it's unreal how much veterans get charged in fees, discount points, origination costs. They are the most expensive lender for veterans. On top of all of that, they do the most VA home loans out of any lender also, just because they have really good marketing. So definitely do
Mm,
not. I would highly encourage you not to work with them. Now, Veterans United says 6 to 7 good payments can refinance. Okay, so I want to. This is what I'm going to talk about is from the VA and not my thing. Okay, the VA specifically says 6 mortgage payments being made. Typically, you want 12. You're going to require 12 on-time mortgage payments, and or if you just bought a place, okay, they're going to look at the last 6, but they're going to go up to 12 months of looking at your payment history.
mm,
But 6 mortgage payments and 210 days from the first time you bought the place, you are cleared hot to refinance, to close on a refinance. So, you know, yeah, you just kind of want to think about that. But yeah, and speaking of these guys, I want to mention something important. Lenders are going to tell you this is free. It doesn't cost any money. What they're saying is that the closing costs are rolled into the mortgage. Remember, in life, nothing is free except maybe for your mother's love. That's about it. Okay. Unconditional. But otherwise, there's going to be conditions to whatever you're getting. So kind of keep that in mind. Because again, people will get flyers in the mail. I'm already seeing this. People are texting me probably right now, like, "Hey, David, I got this in the mail. Look at this 5.25." Then I look at it, I'm like, but they're charging you 13,000 in points plus closing costs. Like, why would you
mm,
do that? So, but no matter what rank, whatever, what age you are, a lot of people want to get to lower payments, right? No matter who you are, who doesn't want to save money? I don't get mail to say, "Hey, why don't you refinance the higher rates and take advantage and pay more money?" That doesn't happen, right? Everybody wants to save money. So just kind of be very careful with that. Like for us, you just pay third party fees, and if you want to buy down the rate, we give you that option. We don't charge origination fees, so you get no junk fees from us. It's
mm,
just we do the work. It's pretty straightforward, and we'll be able to walk you through everything, right? But the big banks are the ones that market to veterans all the time. They are the slowest. They are the most expensive, and the thing is, they have a grip on the market. So then a lot of veterans don't know.
mm. All
It's
right,
sad.
so we are in the speed round. We got
All right, speed
6
round. All right,
minutes.
honestly, it's
Here we
quick.
go. I
Yes, you
heard
can. You can get a home equity line of credit. You can get a personal loan. If you own the home outright, you can't use the VA loan. Next one. So when you're buying a new property with a new construction, no, you can't get money up front from the VA. That is something the builder's going to require. Typically, it's about 10,000 or more. You have to put a deposit down. Leverage a TSP account if you have it. You can borrow against it for the purposes of a primary residence without a penalty. Next one. Okay. You can rehab. V offers a rehab loan. Yes, you can do it. There's some stipulations around it, depending on how much money you need and how much work is going to be needed to be done to the property. But yes, VA home loan rehab loans exist. This is you.
Nope. Read the rest of it. Now my wife has been anxious about
Oh,
getting a house. Of course, me being cautious. Let me know when you finish reading it. It's the second
okay.
part.
Yeah, I mean, the thing is, when it comes to this is more of a complicated one because, in the sense of like, if you want to get into home ownership, the first step is to get pre-approved, know where you stand financially. So the thing is like, you shouldn't be anxious about it. We should, we can sit down, go through where you're at right now. That's going to lay out what you can and can't do, right? Your left and right limits. It's going to let you know, I could buy a house right now, or hey, we need to save a bit more, or we need some additional income to be where we want to be. That's kind of like, and the schedule call is what I would say. That way we can go through it.
Yep. Yeah, I was going to answer it. That's the
Yeah,
way I was going
it's
to
the
answer
best
it.
way because those are complicated situations.
Yeah.
Once I occupy my multifamily for a year, and listen, there's no limit on how long you have to live in a property. You could move in the property for 10 days and you're like, you know what? I want to turn it into investment property. You can do that. There's no 1 year minimum. That's an FHA thing. That is not a VA thing. Yeah, you
Right.
can buy a second multifamily home
Yeah.
using the VA home loan, but it has to make sense.
Yeah. Thank you, Mr. Ferguson. Definitely appreciate it. Yep. Thank
Thanks,
you. Thank
guys.
you. Thank you. Yep. And thanks for putting this on live. We've been doing this, Joe, for a little bit on live. Hello, Scrap Guy, formerly known as Gun Guy.
It's an awesome. Yeah, so there's definitely ways that you can get some down payment assistance programs, get closing cost credits. So sometimes veterans will have income, but they don't have savings. Right now, that's why I'm saying right now is the best. It's the best worst time to buy, but right now it's kind of the best time to buy because not a lot of families aren't moving during the winter time. So take advantage of that and you can get in on deals and get seller credits. I see that a lot right now. I see 5,000, 10,000, 15, $25,000 in closing cost credits to buy a home, which is going to go away pretty soon. Yes, you can do that. You can yes, you could definitely do that. Now, if you don't sell before you buy, you're going to be limited on entitlement. That's the only thing. But if you don't need the entitlement, you can do it because lenders are not going to look at your mortgage payment on your departing residence when you leave, even if you don't rent it out and you don't need reserves. So most rates are going to be a 30-year fixed rate unless you request a adjustable rate mortgage, but that really doesn't. We really don't see those, and in fact, pricing is worse on those. Once you lock in the rate, you lock in it for a period: 30 days, 45, 60, 75, 90-day period, depending on when you're closing. Once you lock in the rate, you are locked in all the way up through that lock expiration date. After that, you might have to extend it and pay a fee to the lender to do that. That's not always the case. That's why I always say leave a buffer of about a couple of days or 15 days in the event there's things out of your control. We've had a situation where there was a tax lien on the sellers and it delayed the closing by 30 days. So there are things to consider.
Okay. This one's for me. Mr. Ferguson, this is the book, VA Claim Success. Go out to my website, www.kmd89.com. I have a coupon code going across the bottom, and I'll send a signed copy. You can pick it up on Amazon. This is what the book looks like. There's another fake VA Claim Success book on there. That is not mine. This is what mine looks like. Also, I'm looking at your second question. 50% for PTSD. If you have a copy of your VA claims folder, go to while you're at the website, schedule a consultation. Myself and my staff, we are retired VA raters. What that means is we were trained by the VA, not a law firm, not a VSO organization. We were trained by the VA. So what does that mean? The rating decisions that you received in the mail, Mr. Ferguson, any other veteran on here, that granted you 50% for PTSD, 20% for needs. We actually wrote those ratings, not yours, but we were trained by the VA to write those. Okay. We were, myself and my staff. All right. So go out to a website, schedule consultation, and we could talk about our educational services to get you educated to see if there's opportunity to get that 90% up. I was diagnosed with PTSD due to a car accident. I'm currently serving. Yep. PTSD, you got to have a confirmed stressor. Get a copy of the accident report. That's your stressor. Okay.
Yeah, one thing too, Dwayne, I'll just kind of put on there. Somebody was asking for the contact info again. Just remember, guys, it's in the description. Just expand the description and you're going to see it in the middle of the screen.
Yep. I always say that, and vets treat that description link like it's kryptonite. Don't be afraid of it. Okay. All right. Here we go, David. So we had talked about this earlier.
Yeah, Mexico is not a part of the United States. You can buy a home in these states or maybe Puerto Rico and America. But yeah, you cannot buy in Mexico. I don't know where that question came from, but yeah, Mexico's a no-go.
No, I think I asked it. I think I asked about out of state. I mean, out of state, out of country. Can you purchase a home out of the country?
No.
Earlier, you were talking about the territories. I think I brought up Mexico. Do one more here.
Earl rates are going to be, so this is kind of a disclaimer, okay? And I'm saying this for educational purposes. Everyone's financial picture is going to be different. It's going to be based on the loan size and where you're doing the interest rate reduction refinance loan. But they currently hover between 5.25% and 6%, depending on your financial picture. And if you want to do buy downs or not. You can do, if you have an FHA home loan, you can actually do it. It's a streamlined refi. It's not like a VA loan. VA loan is like easy. No appraisal, nothing is needed. Like it's super simple. But you can do you can do a streamlined FHA refinance. We can also help you with that. Like I do a lot of VA home loans because I'm a veteran. I believe in the cause and I want to educate the community. But if you guys have different loans you need help with, we can also do those. So if it's FHA, we know how to do the streamlines or regular purchases. I teach this stuff across the country. It's just I dedicate my time to the veteran community. But yeah, easy to help with that.
Yes, this is correct. Make sure you get that. That's what I said. The police report, the accident report, and continue to get treated, because what we're saying now, third-party examiners, when you only go once, they're going to say that's like a one-off. Okay, so just make sure you keep getting treatment. What about TDIU? I got videos on my YouTube channel that I explain TDIU. I will say this: TDIU is not a standalone claim. It is a claim for increase for the service-connected conditions that you're saying prevent you from gainful employment. That's the first thing you got to understand. And I have a couple of videos on my channel. So we'll do one more. I thought we could get through these pretty quick. There you go, Dave.
No. Yeah, that's the thing. Like, that's what we always recommend right now is if you're going to do a buy down, do a very small one because you're going to be able to refinance. But we've been saying that since the beginning when rates went up, that rates are going to go down. It's cyclical. But yeah, I'm sorry to hear that that you did the buy down and now rates are dropping. But yeah, that's the thing. Like, even if you're buying a home right now, you're in the middle of it. I encourage you to reach out to us to see if we can help you and give you a better rate, better terms overall, especially if you're going somewhere with some of the big banks. I highly encourage you not to, but everyone's going to do their own thing. But yeah, buy downs can make sense with an Earl, but I think people are going to refinance once or twice within the next 2 years because rates will be dropping.
Okay, it says, yeah, just schedule
Oh
my
yeah,
home.
thank you.
All right, there we go. I'm assuming you're saying it's with Dave, right? Not Veterans United. We was talking about earlier. There's one that I did want to touch on here.
Yeah.
Boom, nailed it. Is there any of those of us still on active duty should be doing? Yes, 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 yes. I am certified to do business with the federal government. I got a SAMS, case code, all that stuff. And Dave and I have talked about this. And I've been trying to become a prime a sub to a prime to come in and do the TAPS training. And it's number crickets. So guess what I did? I created my own BDD TAPS training. You can sign up on my website and it's free. Just did one last night. Yep. Was it last night. Did
That's
one
awesome.
last night. Okay. The next one is next month. I limit it to 25 seats only. That's it. Because it's 90 minutes. I want to give people ample time to ask as many questions as possible. Okay. It's free. A lot of people say, oh, go to lawyer, go to VSO. I rated, my team and I rated hundreds of BDD claims. We know what we're talking about. We're giving you the inside scoop, the nuggets. So if you feel you should be 100% before you leave active duty, the things that we're telling you, what we were looking for, we're telling you in the webinar. Sign up. Okay. All right. So we didn't get to everybody's question. Dave and I, we will be doing, man, Dave, we had like 131 people in here. I wonder how many likes we got, but I think we got up to 144. And we just scheduled this, like yesterday. Okay.
Yeah.
But we do these throughout the month. I have a YouTube channel. Excuse me. KMD89 VA Claims Consulting. You type my name, Dwayne Kimball. If you're here, you probably got notified. You can follow Dave and I on LinkedIn. You can follow us on YouTube. Make sure you subscribe. Hit that notification button for all. So when we go live, Dave go live, I go live, we both go live together like tonight, you get notified. I just uploaded a video today at 3 p.m.
Working hard.
Do you go to that CMP exam when you got an actual insufficient DBQ? A lot of people ask me that. And I was in the VA's 38 CFR last week, and I was like, there's the answer. So I'm going to give you the VA's answer to your question and just drop that video today. So be on the lookout for more topics. I'm going to drop another video on Christmas morning for you, giving you more information. But again, make sure you go out, you follow Dave. Okay. We can't let this go, Dave. So what I'm gonna do. Okay. So people, I put Dave's calendar to schedule with him in the comment section. Scroll through. Also in the description section of this video. I don't think they can see the description section while we're live.
Correct.
But as soon as we end this, you will be able to see it. Click on the show more, and you see the contact information there. And I have it. I just reposted it in the comments section. Make sure you schedule with him. Say, Dave, I saw you and Dwayne just giving all this knowledge, and I want to buy 20 houses.
Oh, 20 houses.
Yeah, with this VA home loan, and just I'm gonna shut it down. Okay. But 2 houses or whatever, rental investment property, contact him, get that one-on-one with him or someone on his staff so you can learn more. So Dave, I'll let you have the last word.
Well, I appreciate that. Yeah, as you guys are getting together with family, everybody's talking about real estate, right? And a lot of veterans have veteran families, and they're going to be talking about this. So please share our information, schedule a call. Things are going to slow down for a lot of people over the next 2 weeks. It's a good way to just kind of re-gauge what you want to do for 2024. Set your goals. If home ownership is within 2024, 2025, you should be doing it early in the process so you can accomplish what you want to do. Instead of just talking about it, we can actually put a plan together and help you execute on what you want to do with your life. And it doesn't cost a penny.
Mm-hmm.
I'll leave it with that. You guys have a great holiday. Happy New Year to everybody out there. And you'll seeing a lot of us in the coming year.
One last thing. We didn't get through everybody's question. So if you ask me anything about the educational services that my company provides, go to the website, www.kmd89.com. Look at our services, schedule consultation, and one of my team members will call you. And during that call, we're not answering general questions. We're only talking about answering questions about the services that we provide because we only got 15 minutes. Okay. So with that being said, if you celebrate Christmas, Merry Christmas to everyone. Be safe. Have a wonderful and beautiful time with your family. And thank you for joining Dave and I this evening. Have a good night.
Good night, everyone.